Greetings. Today is Wednesday, January 31st, and it's time for another bike tour. On Monday, I'm going to leave to head down to Florida and probably do about a 3-week tour. I'm going to go down to St. Augustine, which is I'll draw it out here in the air for you. St. Augustine on the eastern coast. I'm going to kind of go southwest down towards Tampa and St. Petersburg, maybe down to Marco Island, and take the Vomit Comet, or what they call the Key West Express ferry, down to Key West, and then ride up through the Keys, and then go inland a little bit, and then back up to St. Augustine. So it should be a good little trip. So I'm going to take this time to go over my Co-Motion. I'm not going to go over the bags and the racks and some of the regular stuff you already know about the Co-Motion Americano, but I'm going to show you some of the things I've tweaked to help me carry things and make it a little bit more useful to me as I do this trip. So thanks for following along, and I hope you enjoy the videos once I get back. I probably won't be posting any while I'm on the trip, since I just do all the video while I'm out there. So one of the things I did in my handlebars was I wanted to be able to have a video view which is pretty much first person, so you can see what I'm seeing as I go down the road. And I thought about doing a chest strap or helmet mount. Now, I'm going to do a helmet mount, I just don't have that set yet. But to put something right here at the handlebars, I found this little company called SmallRig, and they're pretty slick. So the way this works is just got a simple clamp that expands and can go around all different types of size bar types. So it's very easy to put on. It's very solid. This has a ball here and a ball here. So ball heads are really great in photography. They allow you to move things in all different ways. So I can easily move this to any position I want. And I can just click my DJI Action 4 camera right here without any problem whatsoever. So what I can do is I can take this, and just by loosening one lever, I can fold it all down into a nice little package so it doesn't interfere with my handlebar positions or my bag that I keep here on my decular. So that's a neat little addition. Okay, continuing with handlebar changes or updates. One thing I really missed having this Co-Motion, it's a great bike, but the shifter is a mechanical, really nice CNC machine device here. And it's just like a really nice twist grip. But unfortunately, what this means is that I have to have round bars in order to get this on and off. So it's a little limiting at that point. I've always liked using 3T bars that had an ergo position here, which would spread out the force of the road shocks coming up in your hand. So there's a company called Redshift. I'm sure you may or may not have heard them, but if not, I think the products will work pretty good. We'll see on this trip. It's the first time I've used them. But underneath the handlebars, you can see it's now flared out. So they have something called like an ergo grip, or a top mount handlebar extension. So basically it's held on underneath this with some double stick tape, which is actually quite strong, and then you just tape over it. So I've actually got 2 layers of handlebar tape on here, plus this extension. So now all my force is not going to be concentrated just on one little position of a round bar. Now it's going to be going out across the whole palm of my hand. On my southern tier trip last year, I started having some numbness in my hands and my fingers. It was actually my fingers. So I think this is really going to be nice and comfortable to help get rid of the road shock. Continuing on that same theme, another actual product from Redshift is a shock absorbing stem right here. As you can see, as I watch right in here, you can see this stem move as I flex the hoods. You can see it actually does bend down. So it's got a few elastomers right up here in the stem that acts as shock absorbers. So I think this is going to really help out as well to reduce the road shock, because if you reduce road shock, you're going to be more comfortable in the long days in the saddle. So we'll see how that works out. So this is a company called Redshift. I'll try to get up here a little bit closer so you can see that. See, it's called Redshift. Neat little device. Let's look at front lights. I actually have two that you see here. The primary light I use is the Schmidt Edelux 2, which is powered by my generator hub down here. But this light's a little special in that it's an upside down light. So it's actually meant to be mounted upside down. Amazingly, they're not cheap. It's amazing. But they're really proud of them, that's all I'll say. But it is the right light for this rack, which had a custom mount made to it. So that light's really good, so you don't ever have to worry about running out of batteries. Now the secondary light, which I'm sure everyone is very familiar with, the Night Rider Luminous. Now I primarily had this light. It's the 1200 model. I primarily have this light because it has a front constant on with flashing mode. So when I get in urban areas, I always turn this light on so there is something flashing to the people in front of me so they can see me. Now in order to get this light to fit, I obviously didn't have a custom mount like I had here from my Schmidt Edelux. So I actually made a nice little piece of bent aluminum that I had from a previous bike install, I've actually got it attached to the front stay for the rack, and the rear is just a little stainless steel rubber coated band clamp. So that's a nice little aluminum stay there. And you can see the back of it, there's just a real simple plate that goes down a little bit. And on the inside of this, to mount it, I think this is a Paul Components, I think he actually calls it a light mount. So you can just wrap whatever you want around there. So that works out pretty well. And then I do have the routing for the front light. As you notice, it does kind of come up here along, uses these really nice special loops that were put on my custom rack that come back here. Now this is obviously not the best way to do it, but hey, this works. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to rattle. I do have a quick disconnect here that I've added in case I ever do have to take off this rack. I knew that would be impossible to take it off if I didn't have a disconnect in order to disconnect my hub output to the front rack. So we've moved to the back of the bicycle now. And I've actually added some more mounts where I can actually fit the Action 4 that I'm using here. So I put one down low. So this is going to let me get some shots down low with my feet moving and the front bag up there in the road. So that might be kind of interesting. So it might look like this. Yeah, we'll see how that works out. The next best thing, I've kind of wanted to give a view of what it would be like going down the road if you were above and behind me a little bit. So DJI actually has their sticks that you can use for their cameras. I'm not sure what they call it. Selfie stick. Yeah, that's what, of course it is, selfie stick. But theirs is 1.5 meters long. So I've actually mounted one right here to the back of my rack. I have a braze on for my rear stay. And I made just a real simple L bracket right here because there's actually a 1/4 inch by 20 thread on the bottom. And I've used a couple rubber band clamps on my vertical stay. So this doesn't interfere with my bag at all. But what that allows me now to do is that I can stop by the road. Now, it'll take a little while to set this up, but it's not too bad. But as you can see, this goes up pretty high. So I think this will give an interesting view. So here's the mount. So the camera would be right here. And so you can see exactly what I will see going down the road. I'm going to have to rely on the rock steady stabilization of the camera to actually keep that steady, because as you can see, it can move around quite a bit. So that should be kind of fun. Well, I think that's all the real changes I've made to the bike this time around. Otherwise, it's still the same. Oh, I guess there's one other thing. I'm still using the Schwalbe Marathons, but I've gone to their Mondials, which has a Kevlar bead to them. So a little bit lighter, and I can always carry an extra one, and it won't be a ton of weight. And I guess last but not least, I'm actually now I've picked up the DJI remote microphone. So I think the audio quality will be a whole lot better this time around on the trip. almost forgot one more thing. On this trip, I am taking my lightweight tripod with my small point and shoot camera. Many years ago, I used to be an amateur photographer, and I've taken, literally thousands of slides. So my old manager taught me how to be a photographer, and we used to shoot lots of waterfalls in the southwestern area of North Carolina and a little bit in Tennessee and Virginia, West Virginia. So on my cross-country trip in 2008, I actually carried a large DSLR. So I'm not going to do that anymore, but I do have this neat little Canon G1X. It's a little bit older. I wanted to get one of the new Sony RX100 Model 7s, but I know they're not made anymore, but they're really good for doing a little bit of video logging and still images. So this camera I think is going to work out really well. I've used it many times in the past. It's fairly rugged, fairly lightweight. It does RAW. It has lots of modes. I can do even exposure compensation. I have complete control over aperture, priority. Neat little camera. It'll be good for stills. I'm not going to use it for video since its video quality is rudimentary, even compared to the Action 4 that I'm using now. The lightweight tripod is called the Velbon Ultra Maxi I. And the tripod alone, I think, is about, if I remember correctly, I weighed it at 1 pound, 7 ounces. I've got a lightweight Velbon ball head. I really like ball heads, as you can tell, because they are just so much easier. You can just move them in all different types of orientation, and they lock rather than using a heavier pan tilt. So I think this is going to work out pretty well for the trip, and I'm really looking to try to improve my video for this trip considerably. We're going to be taking a little bit more time. I've got an attachment for this so I can mount my Action 4 on it. I'm actually going to be stopping alongside the road and taking some action shots as I come and go through places. I've been watching a lot of videos from other people that are way, 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 way better than I am, since I'm such a neophyte on video. But I'm going to try to get you, as a viewer, a little bit more involved and try not to just take the static shots going down the road all the time, which is kind of neat. But I need to spice it up and do a little bit of everything. So neat little tripod and point and shoot camera this time. So should be fun. Time to review what I'm taking on this Florida trip. We'll do this pannier by pannier and then bag by bag. So in the main compartment, I have food, toiletries, my sleeping bag. This is a Sea to Summit Spark 2. It's rated down to about 30, I think actually 28 degrees from them. It's a 850 filled down sleeping bag. I'm a sleeping pad. I use a Thermarest X-Therm, so it has a high R value so I don't get heat coming, or excuse me, I don't have the cold weather or cold ground coming up from below trying to take the heat out of me. In the outer lower section of the left front bag, I have I think like a 2 liter or 1.5 liter bag to carry water and first aid kit with, of course, first aid and some pills like ibuprofen and Imodium AD. All right, so that's the left front. In the right front pannier, I have my tent fly, tent poles, tent stakes, and the tent floor, and the tent and the floor, as well as a spare tire. The tent I use is a Big Agnes Copper Spur HVUL2 bike pack. That's a mouthful, say that. Great tent. Highly recommend it. And in the outer lower pocket of my right front, I have a writing tablet and a pen and permanent marker so I can make notes about where I rode that day, as well as some various maps. Some of these are adventure cycling and some of these are just a state map. All right, so that's the 2 front panniers. In the left rear pannier here, I have cold weather clothing, which is really just, it's a pair of tights and a nice hat, a little bit of gloves. I have my other set of cycling clothes. I have one set of cycling clothes on and another one that stays in the bag, and I rotate those every day. I have my off-bike clothes, which is actually very little. Just a pair of zip-off pants, another smart wool shirt, pair of underwear, pair of socks. I think that's about it. Not much at all. Oh, and an off-bike pair of shorts to sleep in. I have a bag that has camera gear, which is pretty much just some charging, a backup device, extension cord that I'll need to take care of my camera gear. In the middle pocket of this one, I have chamois butter, sunscreen. I have 3 little laundry detergent tablets. And this, I have fire starter. I can start a fire. And this little bag right here, I have clotheslines, which really just consist of, these are large safety pins, and my clothesline is really just a bunch of nice little thin nylon paracord. All right, that's the left rear. The right rear pannier consists of a rain top. I think I actually also carry my neoprene socks in there as well. I have a small lightweight jacket. It's a standard pearl zoomy that can convert into a vest with arms. I have my pot and cook gear is all in here with the stove and the fuel bottle. I have tools, various sorts. I've got to add my S&S coupler tool. Oh, this is a heavy tool. They need to make a lighter one of those. I have my flat fix. In here I have 3 tubes, patch repair kit, a tire iron, which is really not an iron, it's just plastic stick. And let's see, a little bit more food in this side. And the bottom outside, I have, this is kind of like extra straps and accessory straps, as well as repair kits for my pad in case it leaks and gets, I'm now laying on the ground in the middle of the night. I have an extra belt for my Co-Motion pinion system. You've got to carry one of these. You never know. And I always carry an extra stuff bag or stuff sack and some extra plastic bags for who knows what. In my Giles Berthude, we'll call it a handlebar bag, but it really doesn't fix on the handlebars. I have a rain cover for the bag. I have a bag that says glasses only. I use this only to clean glasses and maybe the front of a camera, since I want something pristine that won't scratch. I have an extra mirror. I have some greeting cards. I'm going to make some more of those very soon. This is the bag I always carry my wallet and money in. It always comes with me. I have the key to my lock always attached to that. I have my media player that I play music on while I'm going down the road. I have here some earplugs and an extra nose bridge for my sunglasses. I have a power bank, which I can charge from my generator. Chapstick. Let's see, we have hand lotion, a nice, who makes these? Oh yeah, Benchmade, nice Benchmade knife. A nice little Leatherman, has a little bit of everything on it, it can come in handy. A lighter, I've got some bug juice or insect repellent. I carry a little bit of camera stuff in a bag up close to me so I can get that at any time. I have a neat little Sangene radio player if I want to listen to the radio. And here's little earbuds. These are the JBL brand, I like those. And a pen. So that's it for the handlebar bag. And let's see, so my trunk bag is, I think this is an older Arkell trunk bag. I've used this on, many trips. You can see it's pretty ragged. It's also been chewed up by a squirrel one time. But in here I carry charging wires and a charger. I've got my headlamp, my little tiny lock. I know it really won't save me for anything, but it's a deterrent, so it might slow people down. I carry some Band-Aids up here just in case. I've got a super lightweight pressure gauge and a buff. And then I believe I'm also going to carry my tripod in here, although this bag tends to become a catch-all of everything. Sometimes food that I'm eating along the road, I might strap my jacket to the outside of it. And let's see, here's the rest of the stuff that actually goes on the bike with me. My off-bike shoes are some Keens. Of course, my Garmin. This is my click stand. Support my bike, of course a pump, and 3 bottles. This one stays up near me at the handlebars. These 2 are down on the down tube and the seat tube strapped into large water bottle cages. So that's really everything there is for this trip. It's amazing it all fits, and we'll go in there.